Why is your horse jerking their feet away when you're trying to trim or have them trimmed? There's a lot of important pieces of the pie to consider when we ask a horse to pick up their feet. It could be that it's a learned behavior of jerking the foot away. It could also be many other things, including poor technique of handling the limb, loss of balance, or the horse's inability to move their limb in the range of motion that we're asking. So I want to show you a couple things with my horse Geronimo, who is a little bit unbalanced and quite tight in a lot of places. So a lot of people, when they try to pick up a foot, will grab it by the cannon bone here and try to pull it up like that. And then as soon as I pick that foot up, you saw that he had to rebalance his hind leg and kind of get braced like this. So he's already in a position of imbalance, and as I go to working on the foot, he's going to be at a disadvantage balance-wise and want to start to get his foot back to maintain his balance. And also a lot of people will drop the foot down instead of setting it down, which will make the horse much more concerned about his balance. So when I go to pick up his foot, he's going to know he's at a disadvantage balance-wise and going to need that foot back so he doesn't fall down. It's important to remember too that horses put most of their weight on their front legs, and when we take the front foot away, especially if we try to move it way out here, see how locked this limb is, and if I try to trim it from this position, it's not going to be long before he needs his foot back and we're going to get into a little bit of a wrestling match. So when I pick up the limb, I want to move within the range of motion of the joints above the foot. And I don't see that many people doing this. So it's one of the reasons I learned to trim was to help horses who were much more worried about this than the average horse to stay calm and safe to handle. When I pick up this limb, I'm going to keep my body close to him. I'm going to slide down the back of the limb to make the leg have a nice joint flexion first. I'm going to pick it up so I support the hoof capsule, and then I'm going to trim the hoof in line with the joints. So I'm going to slide my hand down the back of the limb, working to get the knee to bend, the pastern to bend, and then when I pick up the hoof, once there's a flexion here, I'm going to hold the hoof capsule itself and support it in line with the joints above it. So I'm not going to bend it more than his knee can handle, and I want to be careful of his elbow and his shoulder as well. So I'm going to hold the hoof capsule itself, and this is the position that I would trim from. And then if I wanted to trim anything from the front, I would keep the hoof in line with the joints, either resting on my leg like so that it's straight and in front of him, and this is much more comfortable for him, so I can trim it from here, making sure my legs are supporting him. I'm not requiring him to hold his leg out here because that's a range of motion he can't support. And then when I put the foot down, I set it down instead of let it fall. When horses are arthritic, especially in their knees, they might have a lot of trouble holding the foot out or sustaining this for a long period of time. I tend to hold the foot a little closer to the body in a range of motion that's comfortable for him and just adjust to what he tells me is comfortable. And then again, I set it down with control, not holding the leg itself, but the hoof capsule. For the hind legs too, we have to consider all the joints above the hoof. A lot of horses have very tight hamstrings, very tight backs, and they can also have very weak stifles. So when I pick up the hind hoof, I want to keep my body close. Again, run my hand down to get that joint flexion, find the hoof capsule itself, and about here I've got to feel he's tight and he's trying to pull his leg back closer to his body. So this is about the point where I've got to feel what is the range of motion available and let him feel the support from my hand so that as he gets more comfortable he can stretch out a little bit. But if he jerks his foot backward, I could really hurt him or cause him some pain and worry if I resist that. So I'm holding the hoof within the range of motion that he has available. And same thing when I come forward. I want to keep that hoof within the range of motion that he can offer. And again, set it down gently. So why would the horse be so resistant when we are trimming, yanking their feet away? It could be a sign of arthritis, could be muscle tension or lack of flexibility in those muscles. Could be we're working outside of a range of motion the horse is capable of. Could be we're handling the foot rudely. It also could be as simple as our timing is poor and we keep letting the hoof get away from us and the horse has learned a behavioral habit of ripping the foot away. Regardless, it's really important to work within the horse's range of motion. Spend some time teaching the horse to flex the joints before picking the hoof up, and to hold the hoof, not the leg, in a manner that is respectful and comfortable for the horse, so that they can have a better experience being trimmed, and so that we can have a better experience with them each time, getting a little more balanced, a little more comfortable, and learning how to manage their body when they pick one foot up while the other three are still down.